Renee. So what's for lunch?
Eggs and bacon.
So I just had a wonderful birthday this week. Our son has. We haven't seen it. This is a sad day for America. To see a former president of the United States indicted by the administration of a sitting president who's also a potential rival in the upcoming election. You know, after years of politicization in the Justice Department, years that I lived through as vice president, watching the FBI make a decision not to bring charges against Hillary Clinton for mishandling classified information, to see 2.5 years of the Russia hoax that hung over our administration as we fought to turn America around and still made it more secure and more prosperous than ever before. And now we know that the Russia hoax was entirely based on materials that should have never resulted in an FBI investigation, according to the Durham Report. In the days that have followed that, we saw the big tech and big media literally suppress a story about the Hunter Biden laptop in the days leading up to the 2020 campaign. And we've seen, frankly, this Department of Justice slow walk investigations into the president and into his family as well. And so I think it's deeply troubling to see an indictment against a former president of the United States. I had hoped that the Department of Justice would see its way clear to resolve this matter without an indictment, and said so earlier this week. An indictment against a former president, I think, is going to be extraordinarily divisive at a very challenging time for American families. I also believe it sends a terrible message to the wider world. That being said, let me be clear on a few points. No one is above the law. And in America, we have to stand on the rule of law, irrespective of politics. Secondly, the handling of classified materials is a very serious matter in this nation. My years as Vice President, my years serving on the International Relations Committee in the House of Representatives, it's important that we protect the nation's secrets. It's one of the reasons why, after the multiple disclosures at President Biden's home of classified materials that he had retained from his days as Vice President and as President, that we thought it was appropriate for us to have our records examined. And we found that there was a small number of classified materials that had been stored inadvertently with our materials as well. We fully cooperated with the FBI's investigation. I took full responsibility for it. I'm pleased that last week the Department of Justice determined that it was an innocent mistake. And let me be clear, it was a mistake. Protecting the nation's secrets is absolutely vital to securing this country in the days ahead.
He's a great guy. Everybody comes in here when they come into town. It's great.
I tell you, I don't know if it's a sign.
The sun's coming out.
First person I said now. No one knows exactly what the facts in the law are in this case, and I think it's important that we wait. And each American will understand the facts, and we can each make our own judgment about whether or not this was an appropriate action, or whether or not it's one more example of the politicization and weaponization that's taken place in the Department of Justice in recent years. The toughest race in the country was in Des Moines. I was there yesterday. In Des Moines, and Sarah Nunn, the incumbent Democrat, that's why she spent millions on this issue. He beat her because he went on TV with his whole family surrounded. We love everyone.
If elected, would you pardon Trump if he was convicted?
Well, look, there's assumptions in there that I'm not going to speak to hypothetically.
So do you think that this was politicalized too? You know, talking about the Department of Justice being political, these charges against him, are they political?
I don't think we know the facts. And I think it's important that we allow the process to be made public to the American people. It's one of the That's me and my daughter at Sanibel Island. And then she wrote this whole book. It's really lovely.
She wrote it after the 2016 campaign. Yeah. I can tell her that I signed her.
So flattered.
indictment? Given the indictment, should Trump suspend his campaign at this point?
No, I think any consideration of that would be premature. Look, everyone is innocent until proven guilty in America. I think the former president has a right to make his defense, and we'll respect that right.
Sorry, Mr.